Alright guys, Job is 34 back again with my latest review, and ironically, this review is for a Halloween figure, Michael Myers, and it's funny because I'm actually filming this on the eve of Halloween, or I should say, technically at this point it's November 1st because it's after midnight, and we gain an hour tonight, so that's cool. So I get extra sleep, so I figured I'd stay up late to get this review in. Now, I just recently got this figure from Tots, aka Trick or Treat Studios, and I originally thought, oh, maybe I can get it in time for my Halloween vids. But to be honest with you, with all the controversy this figure has been going on with it and the mystique around it, I kind of felt like it deserved its own video. And I really didn't want to kind of wedge this into the Halloween video that I did, the two parts where I was showing like a ton of stuff, most of which were customs, maybe minus an exception here, one or two things. But this is obviously a mass produced, or I don't even know if you could say mass produced, but you could definitely say manufactured, commercialized release of this character that we all love so much, of Michael Myers from Trick or Treat Studios. And this is a tricky, review, because I know that no matter what I say, I'm going to piss off somebody. So, because there's people that feel very passionately on both sides of the fence with this figure. Now, you know me, I'm very upbeat. I'm very fair. I always try to just, I'm always more of a positive reviewer. I always give figures, I always try to talk figures up and kind of shed some light on the positives, and I do point out and critique negatives. I mean, I'm honest when I think there's something up with a figure, but usually, for the most part, I'm an easy to please type guy. I don't get on this channel, I don't bash anything or insult anybody's work or anything like that. So the first thing I'd like to say before I start like reviewing this figure is there is good here, and there is more good than I thought, before opening it. And there's also a lot of bad, and I'm going to get into that too. Um, but I want to start by saying that, I know that there's some people that are blindly destroying this figure, and also some that are blindly defending it. And the ones that are blindly defending it, in some cases, if this is the type of collector you are, I can kind of see, where you're coming from. If you collect, let's say, like NECA, or you collect Sideshow, or even Hot Toys in some cases, or mainly stick with commercial figures and don't go custom, I can understand. I also can understand why people that are bashing this figure because it doesn't kind of live up to the standards of a customs, could also be considered an unfair assessment, because it's really apples and oranges. You should really be comparing this figure to other commercially released figures, not necessarily customs. It's not custom. It's not priced at a custom cost, so it's not really fair to compare this to, say, like a Once Customs Myers or a Mad Bug or Beta Metalli or anybody else. Those figures are they're made to order. They're more rare. They're limited. They're made, solely by the creator, the artist, and not sent off to a factory to copycat, copy it, hundreds of times. So, of course, there's going to be difference in the quality. So I wasn't, when I pre-ordered this, because I love Myers. I love everything about Myers. I always want to be part of that mystique or that history. So, I was very curious about this when Tots announced it. And I know that Tots did a great job with their Chucky replica, of the life-size Chucky replica they did. And it did cost a good chunk of change for something that was technically released by a commercially, released company. And, they also make lower end stuff. I mean, they make Halloween masks that are pretty cheap and reasonable that you will find in Spirit Halloween and stores. So, they tend to go more commercially. So, of course, when they decided to do these figures, I didn't expect high-end customs level. And I don't think it's fair to even compare it to that. But when you're talking low end, or you're talking like the biggest argument I've heard from people is, oh, for the price point, it's great. For the price point, what do you expect? and I'm going to say that before I say whether I like this figure or not, I will say that that's a very stupid and weak argument, because the price doesn't matter. Okay, when you go to when you see something up for pre-order and it's a proto, and you have expectations of what the final product's going to look like, of course there's going to be opinions, and opinions are always something people are going to have no matter what the price point is. And let me give you an example. Okay, take this bottle of water I have here. Okay, this is a bottle of water. This is Kirkland from Costco. This water comes in a pack of 36 to 48 of them for like $2 or $3, right? Now you could take this bottle of water home. I could take a sip of it. It didn't break the bank at all with me. But if I don't like the way it tastes, or if I don't like something about this, I'm still going to have an opinion and say, I don't like that. And if I compare it to another bottle of water that's the same price, but maybe we're still only talking less than $1 worth of money, I'm going to say, you know what? Compared to this bottle of water, this water's crap. Or I like this water better than that bottle of water. It's all relative, right? If you get two pens and one pen writes better or smoother, but it's cheap, and another one that's just as cheap doesn't work right, you're going to say this sucks. This pen sucks. It doesn't matter that maybe it only costs $2, right? Now, with that being said, we're talking about a figure that cost $120. Now that is a great price point for people that are in the hobby and kind of know what time it is, right? And we also know how it is compared to customs. But to a casual buyer that may see this one day on the store shelf, say in Spirit Halloween next year, $120 is nothing to sneeze at. So for $120, there should still be an expectation. Just like people may complain about a NECA figure that only costs $15. So my point is, let's take the money out of it, okay? Because that really is irrelevant. People are always going to review things. People are always going to have opinions about things. And it doesn't matter. The argument of saying, well, it's only $100. Let me tell you something. Not everybody thinks $100 is a bargain, especially with something that is commercially released. Okay, so let's be fair. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to review this figure based on its own merit. I'm not comparing it to customs. I'm not comparing it based on that it's only $120 and say, well, you know what? It's only $120, so great. Like I said, money is all relative depending on who's buying it. Okay, so all those things can go out the window. And the other thing that I'm not going to say is, well, if you replace this, this, and that, it's a great figure, because that's not how it came out of the box. So I'm reviewing it based on what came out of this box. Okay, so for people, I've actually seen people say, if you replace the hands, the coveralls, the knife, the boots, the body, and in some cases, either change the sculpt with real hair or replace the sculpt altogether. Okay, if you really feel that negative about this figure, then number one, you should just sell it, because what you just suggested to do to fix the figure means that you might as well just get parts and build up a custom figure. If you're going to replace 90% of this thing, then why bother having it? Right? And I do agree that there's certain things that should be replaced, but if you're going to replace it to that point, then just build up a custom Myers and call it a day. Okay? Now, I do agree that there is some positives with this, but with a little more effort and maybe a little slightly higher price tag, they could have had a real winner here. So, but to be fair, I don't hate the figure like I thought I was going to hate it when I took it out of the box. And I know that's going to piss the other side off too. I'm not going to bash this figure. I'm not certainly going to make fun of it. I will point out what's wrong with it, though. And I will point out what's right. And I also want to mention that we all know in this hobby that there are certain people that are blindly defending this figure just because they're friends with some of the people that were involved, whether it's this company or the people that worked on the proto. It's no secret that Kane did the head sculpt, okay? But he did the prototype, okay? And he gets all the credit in the world because this sculpt definitely has quality to it as far as the likeness. It's not a bad sculpt, okay? The problem is that maybe it needs better paintwork. Maybe it should have had real hair. Maybe it should have things that if you bought it directly from Kane underground basically and not like on the market, probably would have had, and you'd pay more, right? So this is not a knock on Kane. I have nothing against Kane. I don't really talk to Kane much anymore because honestly, Kane really doesn't talk to a lot of people. I used to be friends with him years ago. I even defended him against some of the people that are friends with him now, but I don't really talk to the guy. Okay. And, a lot of people in this hobby, they get a little bit of a reputation, they get a little bigger, you know, too big for the bridges kind of thing, and they get busy, and then they don't really want to talk to everybody one on one. So that's fine. He does his thing, I do my thing. I don't really care. But like what I'm trying to say is that I don't have anything against the guy. All right, and he did a great job with the proto, and it obviously shows here. Okay, it did translate into this. The problem is that this head sculpt is not his. It's replicated from his, and it doesn't look as good in the final product as far as the paintwork, the hair being sculpted, and what have you. Okay, but I do think it's a great sculpt for what it is. It definitely has the Myers look. And when you compare it to other commercially released stuff, like the old Sideshow Myers, for example, it blows that one away. Okay, I mean that's painfully clear. So that is a positive. That's not a knock on Kane. That's a compliment. Okay, the knock is what the company did when they sent it out to get it mass produced or copied, right? So, but to give a positive on this, when I actually look at it under certain lighting and I see it, it definitely in hand looks better as far as the paintwork than it did in some of the pictures. I mean, some of the pictures were just atrocious. I mean, atrocious, I should say, because of the lighting or whatever. There is some shadowing here, at least on mine. There is some weathering. There's some grays and stuff. I mean, you can see the eyebrows. You could see the eyes, but on definitely on most lighting, the eyes are darker, obviously, because of the way the light hits it, right? If you go to certain angles, you could see the eyes more, and there's shading on the lips, and there is that flesh colored paint like that you kind of see, on the bottom. So it's not a train wreck, okay? And it does look a little bit more to the proto standard than I thought. Okay, so again, I'm not killing it here. I'm not going to kill it. Can it be improved? Does it need real hair to make it look better? Could the paintwork be better? Yes. And again, that's not the original sculptor's fault. Okay, he can't control what the people in a factory somewhere end up doing with his sculpt. Now, moving on to the coveralls. Okay, the coveralls look nice, and they're very similar to the person who did the prototype of that, which we all know is Tanila. So, I know she did the proto. And again, that's why certain people that like her, certain people that like Kane, including the two of them, and including people that are friends with them, obviously are defending this figure to death. And I don't think it's right. I mean, I think it's right to promote a figure if you're involved with it. I get it. You may even get a cut of the profits, whatever. You're part of the project. I get it. Okay. But let's not, overhype it, right? To make it look like something it's not. Okay. This is not a high-end custom. This is not something that is going to blow away a lot of what came before that was either painted by certain artists or done. However, for a commercially released figure, it is one of the best to date in 1/6 scale. Now, that's not saying a lot because there hasn't been a lot of 1/6 Myers figures released commercially other than like Sideshow, right? And maybe some bootleg companies like for the newer one, like the H40 version and stuff. But for the original 78 Myers, it's not bad. Now, I'll tell you what I don't like about the coveralls. And again, this is not a knock on Tanila because she didn't do these. She did the proto that they mimicked and copied, right? They replicated. The coveralls does have a nice look to it and fit, and it's very good, actually. Way better than, again, the original Sideshow. And let me tell you, if this figure would have came out back then, this thing would have been king, okay? But today's standards, it has some, like I said, it has some weaknesses, right? The material is definitely cheaper. Now, I've gotten coveralls from Tanila, okay? And there's other artists out there that make really great coveralls as well that we know of, okay? And of course, once again, when you're getting them from the person directly, there's a certain quality that is always going to be there, okay? But these feel cheaper, okay? The material is cheaper, okay? But the look of it is good, Okay, but it's definitely cheap. And again, when people say, well, if you buy coveralls alone from these tailors, that's worth $120 right there. Well, no, because the ones you get from the tailors directly are definitely thicker and better made than this. This is a little cheaper. However, once again, for a commercial release figure, fine, I'll take it. The body is definitely wonky. The legs are thin. I mean, he stands very well on his own. So I will say the body is sturdy and it's solid. But as you see, he was about to fall there and take a nosedive. So the body can definitely be improved. It's not bad. I mean, it definitely was made to kind of fit his stature, right? There's like a rubber material up here I could feel. So it's a cheap body. The hands look like they came off a Ken doll. I mean, no offense. Okay, but there should have been a little more material in the hands. And like I said, I would have gladly paid, let's say, $200 for this figure to kind of have those, extra details, including a stand. They didn't give a stand, right? So there's no stand. Now he does stand okay on his own, but would have it hurt to throw a basin? Just something. And the knife. Now let's take a look at the knife. The knife looks very nice as far as mimicking a Lamson, but where they fail is the paint job. How about doing a little chrome paint there to kind of make it look like metal? So, like I said, if you would have just elevated this a little more, I mean, look at that hand how there's nothing going on there, and I mean, like I said, if the paintwork would be better, you'd really have something. The shoes are the shoes are kind of cheap. I mean, they're not, they're okay. They're boots, but again, they're very cheap looking. And I'm not even gonna get started on the t-shirt underneath. I did look. I'm not gonna do it for the video because I really don't want to waste time on it. But it is true. The t-shirt under here, and you can actually feel the tape here. There is not a full shirt underneath, and there is tape holding it on the sides, which to me is the worst. That's like the worst offense to this figure because, I mean, honestly, and again, the argument I hear somebody say, "Oh, they're cheap on eBay. Just buy one for $10." Well, why do we have to buy one for $10? I paid $120 for this. If it's only cost $10, and I'm sure it would cost less if they got the factories to put them on, why didn't they just throw a T-shirt on? I mean, would it have been that hard? Again, true. The argument is you won't see it, and you don't really need it. But why cut corners like that? It just makes the whole thing feel cheaper. So again, with that being said, it's overall it's a fun figure to be a knockaround figure. When I say like it's a novelty figure, you know, I don't mind having it. I could take it to work and put it on my desk, right? It's something you could display by a TV. It's not a high-end custom. There's no need to put it in a DTOF. You don't have to protect it like it's worth 3 grand or something, or even 1 grand. But to me it falls in the line of, hey, you know what? If I have a Funko Pop or if I have a bobblehead of Michael Myers, like the ones I showed you in my Halloween video that I have at work, those little figures from Mezco and stuff, I would gladly put this on my desk and say, hey, look, cool. It's a Michael Myers doll, cool. You know what I mean? So like it has its place, and like I said, I don't mind it. All right, it's not that bad. It's not worth fighting over. It's actually a pretty cool figure for what it is. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't hate it as much as I thought. All right, but let's stop pretending it's something it's not. Okay, guys? And it's certainly not an insult to the people that were involved with the prototype. They did a great job for the prototype, and if there's any fault, or credit, it goes to TOTS. It goes to Trick or Treat Studios, not the people that worked on it. So please don't take offense by what I'm saying here. I'm just being honest. But actually, I do like it. For some reason, I like it more than I thought. The box is great. The box is the best part. I mean, it's really nice. The back, see? And they give you a little extra goodies. They gave me this. They throw in this for like an extra 10% off, which is cool. And then they gave me a free Trick or Treat Studios air freshener. So, it's cool. But I think when they do the others, they need to step it up just a little bit. But for now, this is the first one. And it is history, And again, it definitely screams Myers. So have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. And certainly don't insult it. But don't try to compare it to customs. It's not in that league. And it definitely has faults, and I hope that they improve it moving forward with the other ones they plan to come out. You know, hopefully it's a lesson learned and they get better as they go on. Hopefully, but it's a good fun figure, and it definitely has some pluses too. Okay, so I'm not going to completely bash it. I think it's actually nice for what it is in a way, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I thought I was going to hate it more based on what I saw, but it is what it is. You know, and if you have the money and you want to pay the 120 because you think it's a good price point, get it. I'm not going to recommend it. I don't recommend it. Me personally, I like having it for history's sake. It's the first one they ever did, you know, so it's a conversation piece. All right, so take that as you will, and just trying to be fair here, guys. Till next time, Job is 34. Peace out.